morning. Welcome to Wake Up America Weekend. I'm Carl Higbee.
And I'm Erin Elmore. It's Saturday, April 16th. It is Passover, Easter Eve.
Yeah, Easter Eve, and it's finally getting warm. I'm so excited. I was outside in a t-shirt. Well, you're from Florida.
Yeah, well, I'm not from Florida, but I live in Florida. So this is the weather that we have when it's cold out.
Right, exactly. Well, for the rest of the country, for us, this is awesome for me. I'm t-shirt weather.
You know, it's really nice because being a person that hasn't been in New York City for a while, I've been walking around, seeing the sights, getting a glimpse of what's going on in the Big Apple.
You don't need to wear a parka.
That's true.
So that is what it is. All right, folks, here's some of the stories we're following this morning. The Ukrainian air defense destroying 4 Russian missiles in the Lviv region, as this is bodies of more than 900 civilians are found dead in the region around the Ukraine capital.
Violent crime, it's a growing problem across the country. We all know about that subway shooting ambush this week in New York City, and highlighting what many Americans are feeling right now. Washington is failing to protect them.
Not only Washington, but also New York, too.
Across the country.
Yeah, and the CDC now recommending the return of the mask in parts of New York, as the mask requirement is being extended to May 3rd.
Back in my city of Philadelphia, by the way, they were the first to go back to these masks.
Yeah, you know what? Nobody's going to do it anymore. It's just like you're going to have mass non-compliance, I think. First, let's head over to straight to Ukraine. The air defense reportedly destroying 4 Russian missiles in Lviv region as the bodies of more than 900 civilians are found dead around Kyiv. Let's head to correspondent. Bodies found in the wake of this when they're retaking all this air territory. They're finding all these war crimes, and what are we going to do about it?
You know, it's really sad because you see these are mothers and children and our fathers that are fighting these wars, and at home, it's hard to conceptualize, and you see it on TV because it is so far away, and it's sad and devastating, and we have to do something.
But that's the problem. It's like when you do something, you know, like, and I'm with you. Like, I'm all for the humanitarian aid. I'm all for that. Like, having been at war, my concern is what Ronald Reagan pointed out, which was if you play the game of appeasement, at some point you face the ultimatum. Like, you have to do, like you saying, something. Actually, we have Sarah Williamson. So, Sarah, what can you give us on the latest on what's happening in Lviv and also the 900 dead?
Carl and Erin, because it isn't that often that Russian forces actually target the west of the country, but it does happen here, and this morning was one of those times. And
founder of the Guardian Angels himself, Curtis Lewell, he was in studio with us. Sir, thank you for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure. In fact, after this, I'll be heading into the subways, into the belly of the beast. Body condom to survive the subway so late. That's why you don't see tourists coming into the city. They're afraid. It has nothing to do with COVID. They're not coming because of the crime. And look, you have this lone wolf. He's a crackpot, a nut job. And yet he's walking around the city like he's a tourist. He's stopping having a corned beef sandwich. He's
called
Mickey
the cops
D's.
At one point. Like,
right. He's calling up, hey, I'm here at Mickey D's. I'm having a Happy Meal. And they're like, no. Our cops, their morale is at an all-time low. They're not proactive. And criminals are going to take advantage of the fact that we are very extraordinarily weak in the city of New York.
Yeah. And you really are an angel, Curtis, to New York City and the country, really. And you've been protecting this great city for so long. Do you fault this administration, and what could they be doing differently to protect the citizens of New York and other large cities across the country?
Well, they got to hire more cops. They don't have enough cops. Remember, they defunded the police budget by $1 billion. They never put anything back. So imagine.
That's crazy.
You're trying to fight a growing crime problem with less money, less resource, and a lot of cops are being recruited away. So I see recruiters here always from Florida, from Arkansas, from Washington,
with bonuses.
D.C. Right. Yes. Recruiting police because
just talk.
No bail, no bail. Hey, touchable. But cops, they can be personally sued.
So this is so unfair to our law enforcement. But the other issue is we see these politicians bloviating and banging their fists about gun control. You know that's not the answer.
First off, I was shot with 5 hollow point bullets by organized crime, the Gambinos, back in 1992. An illegal 38. There are 1 million illegal handguns already in New York City.
Right.
So forget the ghost guns, the iron pipeline. Sure, we want to limit that. But you've got to convince the thugs that there's a risk in carrying your gun out in the streets or putting it, let's say, in your glove compartment in your car. Look at all these drive-by shootings. We've never had drive-by shootings in New York City. That was always Los Angeles, you know, Bloods and Crips.
Where they're too lazy to get out of their car.
What pleasure, anytime.
You're coming back, so.
Oh, I'll be back. So nice, we'll do it twice.
All right, folks, so we're going to keep this conversation going, but plenty more to discuss this morning. So let's get to our week panel. I'm having a hard time this morning.
It's me.
You know what?
It must be me.
No, you know what? I haven't had enough coffee. That's what I'm going to blame it on. All right, so.
Hopefully it does. And John, so now we've seen Texas. They're dropping off a few dozen captured migrants in D.C., getting a lot of press. moving the needle, or is it just a campaign stunt?
Well, Governor Abbott is certainly up for election, and this certainly will help him differentiate his policies from that of the Biden administration. Look, it's a great gesture, but ultimately it's not going to do anything because the federal government controls immigration. The real pressure needs to be put on Democratic senators, and there are already 5 or 6 of them, who are completely opposed to lifting this migrant policy.
Transportation anywhere they want in the country.
Free.
No COVID tests, no masks. Perfect.
Nothing. Move about how you want. So, Chrissy, this actually happened. Take a listen.
I am pleased to announce that as of today, U.S. citizens can now request an X-gender marker on their U.S. passports.
So one of the most important documents you need to travel about the free world.
Yeah.
And she is pleased to announce this. What do you say about this, John?
Well, I think other countries may have a different point of view. There are a lot of countries that still have a traditional point of view.
Yeah.
And will they let people in? Because the forms say male, female. I've been to many countries recently. I never had the X option offered to me.
Well, it's the Saudis. When in the history of ever have the Saudis done their SNL skit on our president?
It's really showing how we are seen on the world stage. And if you go back to even the war in Ukraine, that's why Putin isn't taking us seriously. And this just sounds in what cisgender means. So, John, what say you?
I think it's a tragedy that in large parts of this country, school kids would be better off and probably better educated if they didn't go to school.
We're going to see you again in the next hour, and we're going to add someone that's very special to that. We're going to be talking about Elon Musk and Tesla, the Russian economy, and working from home. Our business headlines are coming up after the break. You're watching Wake Up America Weekend here on Newsmax. Welcome back. I'm Carl Higby alongside Erin Elmore. Let's give you a quick look at today's business headlines. For a little help with that, we're going to bring in the Executive Vice President of the Commonwealth Foundation and fellow at Independent Women's Forum, Jennifer Stefano. Jennifer, welcome back. So,
free speech. I believe that we are undermining democracy by the way Twitter is run, and he wants to make this a privately held company and operate it as an open public town square.
And due to the pandemic, remote working became a reality for so many Americans. Employing found that 65% of workers say the work from home option impacted their decision to take a job or not. 40% of workers say they would take less pay for a remote option. Isn't that interesting? So, Jennifer, is this the future of work? Are we going to be doing it from the living room, or are we heading back to the office?
Yes, I do think it's the future of work, and I think it was even prior to the pandemic. I certainly know at my organizations, we've allowed a remote work for a very long time. One of the reasons is it's a great way to get talented women.
So you talked about the housing market being hot. Crypto, something else that's very hot. CoinTracker finding nearly 40% of crypto investors didn't know their transactions are taxable. And U.S. officials linking North Korean hackers to $615 million cryptocurrency heists. With the uncertainty of the tax code and the threat to hackers, Jennifer, is crypto worth it? Now, this is a question I really need an answer to because it's hard for me to understand. Is crypto the way to go? We have these NFTs. Please just give us a rundown.
Okay, here's what I tell everyone. If you do not understand how something makes money, do not buy it. Whether us is taking a very special interest in this.
They say buy what you know.
well, exactly. And one of the things I don't know is cryptocurrency. I actually had some Bitcoin that I bought like at the dawn of time, okay, when Bitcoin first came out, and I have no idea how to access it. I can confirm it's there, but it's actually worth a decent amount of money right now. So it's floating out in the ether somewhere. So, all right, Jennifer Stefano, appreciate it. All right, up next, folks, the Russian war in Ukraine now on its 52nd day. We're going to be live on the ground when we talk about military operations on both sides with retired Brigadier General Blaine Holt. After the break, folks, you're watching Wake Up America on Newsmax.
Welcome back to Wake Up America. I'm Erin Elmore. Time to get you caught up on some headlines catching our attention from across the globe. Here in New York City Central Park, 2 officers rescue a woman from the Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis Reservoir. One officer swimming to the woman, the other using a rope to pull them both to safety. Wow, amen. Heavy dime-sized hail falling in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. The National Weather Service warning of thunderstorms moving throughout the region. And an unoccupied car in Riga, Latvia, rolling through a busy road as cars have to dodge it. the car rolling into the river and floating away. Just a friendly reminder to use your parking brake. And an animal celebrating Easter with tasty treats. Several animals there at the Perth Zoo in Western Australia. They seem to be enjoying their Easter basket. Now, who doesn't?
Yeah, everybody loves Easter. All right, so
I want an Easter basket.
I know. Thanks, Erin. All right, so with Passover beginning last night and Easter tomorrow, there's much faith and hope even in times of crisis on this Holy Weekend.
Plenty more to come here on Wake Up America, so stay with us. We'll be right back.
Your rear end.
Go to TommyJohn.com right now for $25 off site-wide.
Welcome back to Wake America Weekend. I'm Carl Higbee alongside Erin Elmore. Now, the CDC has gone back and forth and is now recommending masks in parts of New York. We know that your home city of Philadelphia just
first one
reinstituted mask mandates in some areas. So, and a lot of other areas in the tri-state area. Look, I'm in Connecticut. They have said they're not going to do it, but who knows? Now, this is despite all the rising cases of Omicron and subvariants and variant XAD, whatever. I mean, it's crazy.
So many.
Yeah, so health officials say that there's no proof of increased disease severity as of yet. So as we watch these horrible conditions of the lockdown.
Compared and contrast states that did this versus states that didn't. And the only difference we see is in their economy,
right,
not in their physical outcome. So this has really been politicized. It's unfortunate, and I think we're paying the price for it.
Doctor, it's so hard to see COVID being political. And when we go to our doctor's office, our doctors have become political. And of course, the CDC, very political. Now, the CDC is recommending masks for certain areas of New York, Philadelphia, due to concentration of high cases. Do you think they'll find difficulties enforcing these at some point where people just have major fatigue and exhaustion? Meanwhile, many experts like yourself probably think it doesn't work.
The more people stand up to this, the better off we're going to be in the long run, because if we keep on subjugating ourselves to a government, which I think is wrong, when the government has power over people or individuals, especially when you already have the right and the ability to protect yourself, if you're already immunized or if you have natural immunity and you can wear a mask, why are you infringing on my rights when I don't pose any threat to you?
We talk about natural immunity and vaccinations, but what if you're a young, healthy person? Sometimes human beings get sick, but if you're young and you're healthy, you're going to be okay.
Right. And first of all, think about this. What young, healthy person hasn't been exposed at this point? I don't know of anybody who's staying in place. They're out playing sports. How many Super Bowls? How many World Series? How many college football games?
They all held their breath,
We
Doctor.
just had Final Four.
And the other thing, too, Doc, is at what point does the CDC come out and say the single greatest deterrent against getting serious COVID is being in shape, getting enough sleep, eating right, not being over? I mean, like, those are like factual facts. I mean,
No,
is that a word?
Factual facts,
Yeah.
but there is no honesty anymore.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is we're going to lose more people to overdose deaths this year than we will to COVID. My pleasure.
All right, folks, plenty more coming up. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, scoot. Wake Up America Weekend. I'm Carl Higbee. Hour 2. We're going to fill it up again.
That's right. And I'm Erin Elmore. It's Saturday, April 16th, Passover, Easter Eve.
Yeah, and look who we got on the couch with us. The Hogan Gidley.
The one and the only.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Yeah.
I love New York City. Great to be on set with you guys, and happy Easter.
Did you take
Happy
the
Easter.
subway?
No, sir, I did not.
Yeah.
I've seen the footage.
You don't
Isn't
have
that crazy.
Yeah,
No.
I don't have
exactly.
a death wish.
I mean, it is. We actually just had Curtis on from the Guardian Angels to talk about this, and he was like, "Are you kidding me?" I mean,
I went to the last Giant home game. Got to see a subway fight. So it lived up to its billing. Walked down there, and everybody was going crazy. 3 women attacked a man, and or vice versa. It was a bad deal.
Did you get stuck in the melee?
I did not.
so I'm OG hating on the subway. I've never rode the subway, and people are like, "Why don't you ride the subway? It's so easy." I said,
It is easy.
"You want me to go
Underground.
underground,
No.
below sea level, under a city that was built by the lowest union bidder? No.
No.
I see.
answer
As
is no.
someone who wanted to get to know New York as a young person, I learned all the subway lines
Yeah.
and I took it everywhere. Now, no thank you.
No way.
Yeah, well, we're going to get to a ton of that, but we got a ton of other stories that we're
so-
following this morning.
Yes, here are our stories this morning.
So the Ukrainian air defense destroying 4 Russian missiles in the Lviv region. This as bodies of more than 900 civilians, folks, are found dead in the region around the Ukraine capital. We have a live report coming up on that.
Elon Musk, so much to follow. From becoming Twitter's largest shareholder to a talk of a hostile takeover, the Tesla chief is now at serious odds with Twitter's board of directors. We're taking a deep dive into that. I cannot wait. That's coming up in this half hour.
My money is on Elon. But
me too.
Kids and
restore it. Thanks and kudos to him.
Right. Go ahead.
Sure, but I was going to say to John, so it's okay for Jeff Bezos to buy the Washington Post. The media cheers and they're so excited.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I know the answer here, but why is it different for Elon Musk?
Well, let's see. Reed Hastings of Netflix, George Soros. You could name a dozen billionaires who, if they had a bid for Twitter, there'd be huzzahs and hosannas. Oh, boy, they're going to invest new capital, all kinds of opportunities.
Price, right?
Chrissy?
Yeah, for viewers at home, obviously they do have a fiduciary duty to their, all stakeholders in the company. But at the same time, they haven't necessarily, Twitter's board hasn't necessarily said they're going to sell. So
we did make one. We made Parler, and then they wiped us off the internet.
Right.
But the entire media is an echo chamber for the left. Right. They control Hollywood, big tech, the mainstream media,
Not so much
colleges
here.
and universities, everything. They don't control this couch, thankfully. So I don't know what they're complaining about, but whatever.
Well, I have something I would like to complain about here is a lot of people are saying that Cuomo resigned and that was terrible, but now they had Kathy Hochul. She had a rocky start. There were some things with her husband that looked a little
fishy,
to say the least.
Some cattywampus afoot.
I wish I understood that word, but it sounds pretty good.
It's an SAT
very
word,
nefarious.
no big deal.
Right, very nefarious. And now the New York lieutenant governor gets arrested, literally in handcuffs. So Hogan, why are people voting for these morally bankrupt, nefarious, ballywigged or whatever you said?
Cattywampus.
Cattywampus Democrats. Why are they continuing to vote for these people?
I think they're just used to voting for these types of folks. And quite frankly, at this point in New York City, I think like here and in other big cities across the country, they're used to their politicians being corrupt.
I'm just astonished that she has moved so far to the left. And I think even in New York, in a wave election, made herself potentially vulnerable.
Wow.
Yeah, so Christy, where do you think we go from here? We have our politicians getting arrested, yet always...
But he did resign.
Yes, he did resign, but always under scrutiny. Conservatives are always under scrutiny. Why is there sort of no balance or equality from the mainstream media?
Well, I mean, is it really a shock? But I think conservative outlets did a great job in pushing for Cuomo's resignation, whether you believe that he resigned because of the nursing home scandal or not. Some of those investigations wouldn't have been done without conservative or independent journalists, and I think that's
Truth Social. Like, I'm on it.
I'm on it.
I got the little verification thingy. And
you're a big deal.
I apparently. I mean,
Very fancy.
Tell my wife. But there's recently been a little bit of a staff exodus. Fox News just said, "Hey, we're not going to get on that." What do you make of this?
Newsmax is on there and verified.
Newsmax is on there and verified.
Because we're awesome.
That's no doubt about that. Look, I think any of these social media platforms that are designed to be, as Elon Musk put it, the town square, ought to be beholden to the First Amendment. They ought to allow freedom of speech. And so,
all right, well, panel, appreciate it. Hogan, so good to have you in studio,
So
man.
fun.
great to be here.
So,
Great to be here.
Well, we're going to get straight to Ukraine, though. The Ukrainian air defense reportedly destroying 4 Russian missiles in Lviv region as the bodies of more than 900 civilians are found dead around Kyiv. So let's head to correspondent Sarah Williamson standing by in Lviv. Sarah, what do you know about this?
That's exactly right, Carl and Erin. There were 4 missiles that were intercepted by the Ukrainian air defense systems in the Lviv Oblast this morning after being fired from Russian Su-35 planes that took off from the Baranovichy airfield in Belarus.
Had he been prosecuted, like you said, and not given those plea bargains, if the prosecutors had a spine, he wouldn't have had that gun.
Yeah.
So, Curtis, you know what's incensing to me is that the mayor of New York, Eric Adams, he pretends like nothing is happening and this is totally okay. Or what you see from the left is a denial, and they sort of blame COVID. How are you dealing with this and making people realize the policies that you vote for are causing the problems that you're having?
Well, I got to give credit to the mayor. A well-dressed man. I mean, those
Nice
aren't
suits.
suits off the racks.
Yeah.
But the problem is, he's protected by armed police.
Right.
Average everyday people need bulletproof vests to be able to survive the onslaught. So there's no sensitivity, no
There was a shooting
understanding.
across the street from Newsmax like 3 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
Everywhere.
And it was
crazy.
for a high-price watch there, because they're following this guy, this idiot, on Instagram as he's styling and profiling at strip clubs and restaurants and bars. because criminals understand they have an advantage.
So annoying. Well, panel, thank you very much for coming in. Curtis, always good to see you in studio.
Thank you for all the hard work that you're doing out there.
My pleasure.
Yeah. And folks, there's a great piece out there called Gun is Civilization. I encourage you to read it. It talks about why owning a gun is the civilized method to a civilized society. All right, folks, welcome back. I'm Carl Higby alongside Erin Elmore. She's up here from Florida. It's so nice to have you here.
So nice to be here with you on this Easter weekend and Passover.
Normally you're in like a little box on the side, but Elon Musk is offering to buy Twitter for $43 billion. Cool. Pocket change, no big deal. Now he's claiming he wants to make the platform for free speech and unlock its true potential as a private company. Let's bring in Executive Vice President of the Commonwealth Foundation and fellow at the Independent Women's Forum, Jennifer Stefano. So, Jennifer, appreciate you coming back with us.
So, Jennifer, the term hostile takeover is being thrown about here. What exactly is a hostile takeover, and when would Elon use it? And also, can you please throw in a little bit about this poison pill?
Sure. So Elon Musk, if he wanted to do a hostile takeover, will go out to independent shareholders and look to buy up their shares. It's really fascinating to me because the board must do what is in the best interest of the company. And if that means letting Elon Musk buy it, then they must do it. They're fiduciaries.
That's the interesting thing here. So
Twitter and doing all the things that Twitter is not doing, including that edit button that he tweeted about. I think this could be enormous and eat market share from Twitter. I would say that could be plan B. And boy, do they not want that.
Well, Twitter's definitely planning because we know the board has brought in JP Morgan Chase and I believe Goldman Sachs. So do you think they're truly scared here? Do they have a plan, or are they just playing from behind and seeing what Elon does next?
Yeah, it astounds me that they're this terrified of someone who wants to give them a lot of money, make them rich, and then create a productive, free, and civil society online. Like, what are you so afraid of?
Right.
What do you think words are going to do to you?
Like, a lot of people have had that notion for a long time, but what we're really seeing now is this, I don't want to say an exodus because they're not leaving, but they're taking leave for mental health. They're concerned. They say it's on fire.
They need a safe space.
Exactly. They need a safe space now. What is the notion of such fragility within the staff of a company do for stock prices?
Up and to grow, you need manpower to do that.
Wow, that was our border correspondent, Jason Jones, on the front lines at the border, witnessing what's happening firsthand. He joins us now from Mission, Texas with more. Good morning, Jason.
Guys, good morning. Yeah, that gun battle, whether it was that in Miguel Alemán, where it was taking place just across from Roma, Texas, or, the back-to-back human smuggling, human trafficking that we've seen all week, including drug trafficking that we've captured on film to be able to show the folks what's happening. Or even right now, a group being worked right behind it. You can probably hear the helicopters. The volume that's occurring down here in crime and in immigration.
Thank you so much, Jason, for this report. Let's keep an eye on the border, and we're going to keep this conversation going with senior law enforcement analyst and former acting CBP commissioner of the Heritage Foundation, visiting fellow Mark Morgan, and the mayor of Uvalde, Texas, Don McLaughlin, and former principal deputy press secretary at the White House, Hogan Gidley, back with us in studio. Gentlemen, such a pleasure to have all three of you. Thank you for being here. Things to hear about and watch on a daily basis. Don, let's start with you. You've described the ending of Title 42 as a power keg waiting to blow up. When are you expecting to see these changes, and what do you foresee immediately?
Well, here's what's going to happen when Title 42 goes away. Right now, if the Border Patrol gets 1,500 at Del Rio or Eagle Pass at the same time, it puts them over capacity. And they're not doing anything for the people in South Texas.
Or for the people of this country at all. So, Mark, next question to you. Let's take a look at this headline. Governor Greg Abbott announces deals with 2 more Mexican governors to halt Texas's vehicle inspection at the border. So what do you make of all this?
Look, I applaud Governor Abbott. Right now, Governor Abbott, Governor DeSantis are 2 governors in this country. They're doing more than any other governors to try to fill the void that's been left by this administration's complete abdication of their constitutional duties to secure our borders.
Thank you.
Completely. Thank you both, Don and Mark. Coming up next, kids and anxiety. Parents of children as young as 8 years old now being encouraged to get them screened before the problem spirals out of control. We're talking about it next. You're watching Wake Up America Weekend, only on Newsmax.
Carl Higbie alongside Erin Elmore. So kids 8 and older are now being urged to be screened for anxiety. Look, I have a 9-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 4-week-old now.
I have an 8-year-old.
You have an 8-year-old. So
Yeah.
should we screen them for anxiety? Apparently we're supposed to. And because it's only going to escalate from there to a larger crisis. Here to speak more on this is clinical psychologist Catherine Coleman. Doctor, welcome back to the program. I am a little unnerved by this because, I mean, look, I have kids and I don't let them play video games. We watch a limited amount of TV and they don't have any of these social anxiety. What is going on in society?
Well, I think for kids that they were impacted by these lockdowns, school closures, and then during the course of all of these closures, really being thrust into the social media world.
So, doctor, if a child were to be diagnosed with anxiety or depression, what are the things parents can do to be a good support system for their families? I know that I think nowadays a lot of parents put these stresses onto their children. So what can parents do to monitor their own behavior to help their children cope better?
Good question.
So I think that parents really need to stop swooping in and saving their kids from everything. When parents do this really creates fragile kids long term. I knew you would like that, Carl.
Yes.
But it's true. We don't want to swoop in and save them all the time. We want to teach kids to self-regulate and to self-soothe themselves. And so
No, don't do that.
No.
Don't do that.
Oh, so helpful. Thank you, Dr. Catherine Coleman. And thank you for joining us this morning. We will be right back. You're watching Wake Up America, only on Newsmax.
Erin Elmore. Now, the CDC has gone back and forth, and it's now recommending masks in parts of New York. We know that your home city of Philadelphia just
first one
reinstituted mask mandates in some areas. So, and a lot of other areas in the tri-state area. Look, I'm in Connecticut. They have said they're not going to do it, but who knows? Now, this is despite all the rising cases of Omicron and subvariants and variant XAD, whatever. I mean, it's crazy.
So many.
Yeah. So health officials say that there's no proof of increased disease severity as of yet. So as we watch these horrible conditions of the lockdowns in China, why are we so quick to want to lock down our country? So,
Doctor, it's so hard to see COVID being political. And when we go to our doctor's office, our doctors have become political. And of course, the CDC, very political. Now, the CDC is recommending masks for certain areas of New York, Philadelphia, due to concentration of high cases. Do you think they'll find difficulties enforcing these at some point where people just have major fatigue and exhaustion? Meanwhile, many experts like yourself probably think it doesn't work.
The more people stand up to this, the better off we're going to be in the long run, because if we keep on subjugating ourselves to a government, which I think is wrong, when the government has power over people or individuals, especially when you already have the right and the ability to protect yourself, if you're already immunized or if you have natural immunity and you can wear a mask, why are you infringing on my rights when I don't pose any threat to you?
And very quickly, we talk about natural immunity and vaccinations, but what if you're a young, healthy person? Sometimes human beings get sick, but if you're young and you're healthy, you're going to be okay.
Right. And first of all, think about this. What young, healthy person hasn't been exposed at this point? I don't know of anybody who's staying in place. They're out playing sports. How many Super Bowls? How many World Series? How many college football games?
They all held their breath.
We just had Final Four.
Yeah.
No,
is
there's
that a
no
word?
Factual facts,
Yeah.
but there is no honesty anymore.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is we're going to lose more people to overdose deaths this year than we will to COVID.
$100 at SoClean.com.
Welcome back to Wake Up America. I'm Erin Elmore, and it's time to get you caught up with some rapid reactions. A special day in Major League Baseball yesterday as clubs celebrated Jackie Robinson Day. The LA Dodgers marking the 75th anniversary of Robinson breaking the color barrier in Major League Baseball. It was concluded with a ceremony including he and his wife, David. Moving on to Magic Johnson, he tweeted out this picture saying, "Cookie and I enjoying the 75th anniversary celebration of Jackie Robinson with his beautiful wife, Rachel Robinson, who's 99 years old. David Robinson and my business partners and I, fellow co-owners of the Dodgers, Mark and Kim Walter." And according to this user, there was a big pregame applause for the 99-year-old Rachel Robinson. The Dodgers were able to get a win on their special day, getting their 4th in a row. And at Citi Field, fans paid tribute to multiple legends at the club. They honored both Robinson and the late, great Tom Seaver, unveiling a statue of the late pitcher in his honor in front of the stadium. With all the events to be celebrated, the team also sealed it with a win. Mets owner Stephen Cohen tweeted out, "Great win on our home opener celebrating Jackie Robinson and Tom Seaver. The energy in the stadium was electric." As well as this reaction saying, "With the Mets unveiling Tom Seaver's statue today, the only acceptable outcome was for them to dominate on the field. Glad they did what had to be done." All in all, it was a beautiful day for celebrations and a win for both teams.
Yeah. So, speaking of win, I just found out, you guys know I'm a big hunter. I found out that Hogan Gidley is a major turkey hunter, and that's coming up in a week for me.
It is. South Carolina's been going on for a little bit. I'm supposed to go down there in a couple of weeks and try and get myself a bird this season. Duck hunting's my main thing. Waterfowl's my main thing. But I got into turkey hunting probably about a decade ago, and once you get it in your blood, you can't get it out.
And teaching the kids the value of life. Like when I take my kids out there and teach them hunting, and they're young, but they've sat in the stand. I think it really is a holistic feeling, right? I mean, Erin's a big hunter.
I am.
And you have kids? You have kids?
Yeah.
I have a kid, he's got kids.
It's also the value of being quiet.
Oh.
Just
Yes.
quiet. See, that's another value to teach kids, right? Just okay. Just be
Now
quiet.
that-
just for a minute.
that
Just
makes
for a
me
minute. Be
even-
still and be quiet. Just for a minute.
Yeah.
Wow.
Valuable lessons.
See?
That's a really valuable lesson.
Now you're going to start taking them
Now I'm
hunting.
going to start
You're taking
hunting.
Roy's. That's
Rest
right.
of
Take
the
them
day.
hunting.
All right, guys. We appreciate you having your coffee with us this morning. We're going to toss it over to Rita for some Saturday report. We're going to see you tomorrow, 7 a.m., folks. Catch you then.
See you then.